This is just telling you what is in Cyrus Accords. What is included in Reza Pahlavi's Cyrus Accord? Reza Pahlavi's vision for the Cyrus Accords includes a broader regional peace agreement building upon the existing Abraham Accords. This vision is centered around the idea of a future free and secular democratic Iran having a strategic partnership with Israel and other nations in the region. Key elements of the Cyrus Accords, as envisioned by Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, include peace and cooperation. A fundamental principle is establishing peaceful relations between Iran and Israel, ceasing hostilities, and fostering a true strategic partnership. Expansion of the Abraham Accords. The Cyrus Accords aim to expand the existing Abraham Accords to potentially include a free Iran, thus uniting Israel, Arab nations, and a secular democratic Iran in a collective effort for peace and stability in the Middle East. Addressing regional challenges, cooperation would extend to addressing critical challenges facing the region, such as climate change, economic development, and water shortages, with potential for partnerships in areas like water, desalination, technology. Promoting stability and prosperity. The vision of the Cyrus Accords seek to bring stability and economic prosperity to the entire region, creating a new dawn of peace where people can build, trade, innovate, and live in peace together. Historical and symbolic significance. The name Cyrus Accords is chosen to highlight the historical bond between the Iranian and Jewish people, referencing Cyrus the Great, who freed the Jewish people from captivity and allowed them to return to their homeland, symbolizing religious freedom and human dignity. And the most important aspect of all was Cyrus the Great allowed the Jews to go rebuild the temple. And so Reza Pahlavi has it in his heart to allow the Jews to build the third temple, as I've talked about before. And that's why this is so profoundly, prophetically important, because this hasn't happened in 2,500 years, this edict. The Accords represent a standard for just leadership and values of coexistence, not conquest. And then there's a little bit more information that I added on to this. We'll see if this video will export. Right now, they're not saying much of anything about the third temple, but that is in the heart of Reza Pahlavi, the Crown Prince of Persia. This is talking about the term Cyrus Accord, which refers to a framework proposed by Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi that I've talked about, the son of the last Iranian Shah, which is king, for a future democratic Iran. It centers on the establishment of a secular democratic government, emphasizing separation of religion and state, free and fair elections, and respect for human rights. The Accord also calls for national unity and reconciliation among all Iranian groups and ideologies dedicated to a democratic future. Key aspects of the Cyrus Accord, as proposed by Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, include secularism, separation of religion and state, ensuring that religious institutions do not interfere with governance; democracy, establishing free and fair elections for all citizens, regardless of their political or ideological affiliations; human rights, guaranteeing fundamental rights and freedoms for all Iranians, including freedom of speech, assembly, and religion; national unity, promoting reconciliation and cooperation among all Iranians who support a democratic future for the country; constitutionalism, establishing a constitution that protects the rights and freedoms of citizens and limits the power of the government. Let me continue on with the other portion that I saved from the video. So I had to stop right there and come inside. It was 100 degrees today, and there was heat advisories out. I got a little bit warm, so I came in here to tell you the rest of this. But based on the provided search results, the Cyrus Declaration is not a document signed by Iranian diaspora activists. Instead, the term Cyrus Declaration generally refers to the Cyrus cylinder, the ancient clay artifact containing the proclamation by Cyrus the Great, founder of the Persian Empire. Here is a summary of what the Cyrus cylinder and the related Edict of Cyrus, or Charter of Cyrus the Great, represents. Historical context: in 539 BC, after conquering Babylon, Cyrus the Great issued decrees that recognized religious freedom, allowing deported people, meaning the Jews, to return home, and abolished slavery. The significance was that many consider the Cyrus cylinder to be the world's first charter of human rights, with its principles echoing some of the themes found in modern human rights declarations. Symbolic meaning: it symbolizes the cultural tolerance, diversity, and religious freedom. Connection to Iranian diaspora: while the Cyrus cylinder is an ancient Iranian artifact, it serves as a source of pride for the Iranian nation and is sometimes referred by individuals and groups within the Iranian diaspora, such as in celebrations of Cyrus the Great Day or in the context of advocating for human rights in Iran. UN recognition: the replica of the Cyrus cylinder was presented to the United Nations in 1971 and is on display in the UN headquarters, representing early human rights principles. It is important to note that while the Cyrus cylinder is seen by many as reflecting principles of tolerance and human rights, some scholars note that these policies also served practical purposes, such as maintaining stability within the vast Persian Empire. In conclusion, the Cyrus Declaration is primarily associated with the historical decrees of Cyrus the Great inscribed on the Cyrus cylinder, rather than a specific document signed by Iranian diaspora activists. The Cyrus cylinder is an ancient clay artifact inscribed with cuneiform texts discovered in Babylon, modern-day Iraq, in 1879. It is renowned for its significance in understanding the policies of Cyrus the Great, founder of the Achaemenid Empire, particularly his conquest of Babylon in 539 BC. The inscription details Cyrus's restoration of temples, repatriation of deported peoples, and his self-representation as a just and tolerant ruler. It's often cited as a precursor to human rights principles, though this interpretation is debated. Here's a more detailed look. The Cyrus cylinder was found during a British Museum excavation in Babylon. It is now housed in the British Museum. It was placed in the foundations of a temple as a foundation deposit, a common practice in that era. So isn't that interesting that King Charles III is likely going to be the king that they choose to broker the peace between the Palestinians and Israel, coming under the Commonwealth, and the Cyrus cylinder is actually in the British Museum. The inscription, written in Akkadian cuneiform, describes Cyrus's conquest of Babylon, his restoration of temples, the Jewish temple, and his policy of allowing deported peoples, meaning the Jews, to return to their homeland. The cylinder is considered a key historical document because it provides insight into Cyrus's governance and his relationship with the people of Babylon, including the Jews who were deported there. It corroborates accounts in the Hebrew Bible regarding Cyrus's actions related to the Jewish exile. While not explicitly a human rights document, the cylinder's emphasis on religious tolerance and repatriation of deported peoples has led some to interpret it as an early expression of human rights principles. This interpretation is particularly prominent in discussions surrounding human rights in the Middle East. However, others argue that the cylinder is more accurately understood as a propaganda aimed at legitimizing Cyrus's rule. The Cyrus cylinder continues to be a subject of scholarly debate and public interest. It is seen by some as a symbol of tolerance and human rights, while others focus on its historical and political context. The Cyrus cylinder is a famous ancient artifact, a baked clay cylinder inscribed with the Achaemenid royal inscription in Akkadian cuneiform script. It was created on the orders of the Persian king Cyrus the Great after his conquest of Babylon in 539 BC. And I'll just show this to you here. The text on the cylinder praises Cyrus, sets out his genealogy, and portrays him as a righteous king chosen by the Babylonian god Marduk to restore peace and order. It recounts his peaceful entry into Babylon and details his policies, including the restoration of cult sanctuaries. Some scholars see the Cyrus cylinder as corroborating evidence for the biblical account of the return of the Jewish people from Babylonian captivity, as recorded in the book of Ezra. So when I made those 2 videos 7 months ago, the Holy Spirit prompting me to know that this plan was being put in place to put the Persian king back in power. But King Charles III also has all of the things we discussed many, many times in my videos, and it's all coming together. And the fact that the Cyrus cylinder is at the British Museum says a lot to me. It is the Crown Prince of Persia's wish to make the Cyrus Accord and declare peace between the Iranians historically and Israel. He really wants in his heart to allow the Jews to rebuild the temple, which would be the 3rd temple. Jesus is obviously coming soon, according to all of these prophetic events that are stampeding before our eyes. Good night.